Alright, so what I've done here is, as I sort of showed you before, I mentioned I've put the Sally's Quick Grip spray adhesive on the layout, and success. It seems to have worked really well. As I said, it's created a bit of character there with the scatter as well. It's sort of bunched it up in certain places, give it some good low, which gives it some good low bush type foliage effect, which is nice. Gave it a couple of coats of that. Then what I did was I finished it off with 2 coats of hairspray. You've probably all used hairspray in modelling before, or if you haven't, get some, give it a shot. It's brilliant. It's brilliant just for fixing down a final scattering of turf, but it's also fantastic for static grass. It's actually brilliant for a lot of applications. In fact, I'm going to show you how I use it when I apply ballast. So what I'm doing now is pulling up all of the masking tape and getting these tracks bared again, and with any luck they're not sticky underneath, and once I've done that I'll show you how I put some ballast on. Alright guys, one of the things I've learned before I put the ballast down is to just recheck the track and make sure that our clearance is okay. What can be a concern here is clearance with the fences here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that now and get that travelling along some of the track just to see exactly where we're at with things. Obviously going along this part of the track isn't going to be a problem because there's nothing that can get in its way there. We'll have trees and everything there and that building behind it too, but that's not going to be a problem. So we'll just reverse up. Very slowly because I still don't have ends on these tracks, so if the logo was to lose its coating or something like that and go out of control, I'd be a little bit stuck. Alright, so clearance wise, not a lot, but acceptable. And back onto the bridge deck again, where we've got the possible problem of the fence. I think in this case it should be okay, but always best to check. And we look like we're okay there. Plenty of space down there. So that'll be fine. So that's a good little test with the Flying Scotsman. So guys, what I'm doing is I've just got a little container here. It's one of my vehicle containers. And I've got some ballast in there. I'm going to put some ballast in the middle of the tracks along here. Not quite on the side like that. All the way along. And then I'll show you what I do from there. So then what I do is I get the brush. Now I do this very carefully. I very carefully, and I've got to look out of the viewfinder for a second while I do this. I get the brush and using the edge of the brush, very carefully brush the ballast into the tyres like this. Now what I've done is I've obviously spread it out excuse me, along all the tracks. As you can see, I've cleaned up actually using cotton buds. I've just cleaned up the ballast from either path, and around here I've made sure that I haven't got ballast in here because I don't want to stop that mechanism from working. You can do it, you can chance it. I've done it before on different layouts, particularly on Grafton Heath. You always run up against troubles, and it's just a headache when all of a sudden you start getting points that don't work, or they've got one bit of ballast stuck in them, and whatever the case may be. This point here is actually a vintage point, so this one was getting clogged up really quite easily. So I've kept that fairly free. That should be fine. There's going to be other foliage and static grass and whatnot in there anyway. So now a little trick that I learned off YouTube quite a while back, a few years ago, is once you've done the main ballasting, grab the edge of a paintbrush and do this. Give it a tap. Not too much of a tap. As you can see, that puts the ballast back on the path. That's okay, I'm going to remove that in a sec. But what this does is it actually ingeniously gets all the ballast off the tyres. You can brush and brush and brush, and there always still seems to be some ballast on the tyres. By doing this, it creates a little bit of an earthquake down the track, and you can generally get the bulk of the ballast off the tyres and onto the ballast. Just right, even just doing that, all the sides of those tyres are just freed up so much. You see all the ballast on the tyres here? Tap away. You won't get all of it off depending how thick you've got it. Now some of that stuff won't come off, that's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. Look at a train track in real life. Nothing's perfect. That's what makes real life so enjoyable, isn't it? You can see that ballast coming straight off those tyres. Once you're comfortable that you've got all of the ballast where you want it to be, give it a light spray over first with hairspray. Now what this does is, because the ballast is so fine, you can spray up here, say from a distance. Yes, your track will get tacky, it definitely will, but you can remove that tackiness. You see, spraying from up here, the ballast doesn't really move that much. Now, if you were to put straight away the white glue from an eyedropper onto that ballast, even with detergent in there, making a wet water setup where the detergent breaks the surface of the water and allows it to go into the ballast, even with doing that, the ballast would ball up. When you put this light coating of hairspray on first, it doesn't ball up. So it's a little tip there for you, give that a shot. So once all that's set in with the hairspray, I'm going to get the trusty old eyedropper with your white glue and water mixture. A little bit of detergent in there as well, as I said, to make a wet water to really soak into that ballast. And then I'm going to eyedrop along and get some nice firm ballast happening in the next day or so.